Hey again, everyone. Creston here, coming to you from my back porch. We just moved into this neighborhood about 6 months ago. This is our backyard. Got a pretty view. It's a 55 and over community. We have 4 kids. They're all grown now, and so we moved in here. And it's called Brazelton, Georgia. You can see the water towers. Anyway, we love it in here. It's been so much fun, and we've gotten to meet a lot of great people. So a couple questions Rachel wanted me to cover was personal side. I'm married to my lovely wife, Patty. We were actually in 4th grade class and 6th grade class together, and I always had a crush on her. And anyway, we went to the same college and got together our senior year. And we've been married, it will be 39 years this December. So we have 4 kids. They range from 23 to 33, 3 girls, and the youngest is a boy. And we just have a great family. We've been, since I freelanced from home all those years, we're very close-knit and just very fortunate. Let's see, what other questions do I have here? Oh, if you'd like to sign up for my newsletter, it comes out about once every 2 to 4 weeks. And I usually try to include like a special for a free book or a discounted book each time. And then I have some links to some other book specials. And then there's some little news and photos of what goes on in our lives and stuff. There's my dog, Harvey. Hey, Harvey, you say hi to the folks back home? Say hi. That's Harvey. That's Harvey. Yeah. Okay, now on to your questions about I Am In Here. Diana Bedford Pittenger asked, I always wonder where authors get their ideas for suspense books. The Stepmom was awful. Did I have to work to come up with the idea for her actions, or did they just come to me? I'm also curious what types of books he enjoys reading. I love reading suspense, but I don't have to read like police books. I like to read, I like to read the classics. Like I just finished The Count of Monte Cristo not too long ago, which was like, it was literally that thick, the paperback. I think it was 600,000 or 700,000 words. It was a great book, though, about revenge. Another good one I read recently was Rabbit Run by John Updike. Cormac McCarthy is one of my favorite authors. I like Anita Shrev and Eric Larson. And I just went on a spell when I read a bunch of books by Patricia Highsmith, who kind of a older era author who was very popular. And then I also read a lot of nonfiction. So I'll have like 3 or 4 books going at one time, and I'll read whatever I'm in the mood for. Okay, but to answer your question about did I have to work? You know, the stepmom in the book, who was such a witch, I don't know, I guess everything I do in the books, I try to add a lot of tension and a lot of suspense, and I try to begin and end each chapter with a cliffhanger, just to keep the reader really, really wanting to read, having to read, can't put it down. That's what I think of when I create these characters. That character probably came from watching too much TV and reading too many books. I mean, I thought she was great. I love writing characters like that, though. To me as a reader, it's so intriguing to have someone like that in the story. Victoria Thompson said, I'm wondering if he's thinking of a sequel. Why did Randall have to go to prison? Couldn't they have proved he didn't do the robbery? Or could he get time off for helping Douglas? Well, I try to make the books pretty realistic. I think he was in on that robbery, if I recall correctly. So yeah, he's going to have to do a little time. I'm really not thinking of a sequel because I wanted this to be a standalone thriller. I didn't want Hale to be completely healed. I thought that that would be a little unrealistic. So we ended it on a good note. I think to continue this story would probably be stretching it. But like my other series, I have the Signs of Life series, the Crittenden Files, and the Rockstar Chronicles. So all those are, to me, they lend themselves to be series. But with every series book I write, I try to make it intriguing enough and thrilling enough and unique enough that they can be read as standalone thrillers. I really, and that's the great thing about being an indie author, is I'm not under the pressure of a deadline. So I really can take my time with these stories and make them unique. I really care a lot about that. I don't want to be a formula writer where the same type thing happens in every book. Sandy Shabai, Shabi, Sandy asked, what type of books do you enjoy reading? I answered that. Oh, and I answered my favorite author. So there you go, Sandy. Karen Risset, I know he said the story was based on some of the things that happened to a friend of his in real life, and I'm wondering how close to the real story the story follows. Also, did he have to do any research to figure out how to portray the elements of Hale's character? So, about 25 years ago, we had some dear friends whose son was in a drowning accident. He was 16 at the time. He was held under the water for a long time. And so he did survive, but he was in Hale's condition. He was tube fed, and he was in a hospital bed in their home. And I would go visit him on a weekly basis just to play music and to read some scripture to him. And so that's where I got the idea for the book, because I always felt like this young man was in there. I felt he could understand what I was saying. He had no way of outputting, though, or communicating. It was just exactly like Hale would respond, is how he did. So, and being with him on a weekly basis for a number of months, that's where I figured out how he acted. Sue Bruau, I understand that it is common for people in a coma to hear conversations. Has he had, as a reporter, experience with some people telling him this after they recover? Also, I would like to read a sequel where Hale does recover. Well, Sue, there's not going to be a sequel, but you can imagine in your heart that he does get all better. And I'm saying that now. I mean, I don't think there's going to be a sequel, unless this would become some major bestseller and it would demand it. But, I think I answered your question on my answer to the last question, Sue, so thank you. April Perez, sometimes when reading books that have medical healthcare situations in them, there are obvious errors to those like me who work in the medical field. I really enjoyed this story and think you did an excellent job. Well, thank you, April. I only found one possible error, but even that wasn't definite. Oh, that's good. Many hospital bed rails are removable, but not all of them. I was thinking about this when his dad was zip-tied to the bed rail. Were any of your proofreaders for this book medical professionals? I think one of my readers is a nurse. Hopefully she would have caught the bed rail thing. And it is amazing I have an early reader team of about 5 to 7 fans who are really great proofreaders, and they catch almost everything. So April, I hope that you're okay with the bed rails. I mean, they did what they needed to do for this story. Okay, and then from Vicky Thompson, I have another question about Sandra. How did her family post her bond? Why would they? She's up to no good and should be in jail for attempted murder. Again, I'm thinking there is a sequel. At least she has a restraining order. Well, what I thought of there was that she has family who bailed her out because that's what families do. Now, we didn't get into who the family was or why they bailed her out or any of that because it would have at the time I was writing it, I didn't feel it was going to add to the story. So yeah, she was bailed out. But you know what, Vicky, that was a very good question because if you want to think about that very long, it could be a problem. So we won't think about it very much longer. Mary Lou Dunsford. I am originally from east side of Cleveland. And you? I am from Akron, Ohio. Actually, Bath, Ohio. Northeast Ohio. Beautiful hometown. That's where Patty and I are both from. We don't get up there much anymore, but we're still big Browns fans. And I love Northeast Ohio. It's where our roots are. And I love going back there, although we don't get back there. The last time was for our 40th high school reunion, which Patty and I were in the same class, so we went to that. It was a blast. Do you ever get to Blossom Music Center? That was right up down below my house. Sorry, I'm getting texts from pickleball players and I'm swiping them away. How do you know that someone severely handicapped like Hale can hear? I have heard this and just wondered how people know. Well, again, Mary Lou, that just comes from my experience with this young man I knew, and I knew he could hear. The doctors knew he could hear just based on his reflexes and responses. I will say, too, to wrap this up, that young man this happened to is now, I know he's over 40 years old. He's still at home in a hospital bed, fed by tube. And it's a very sad story. But looking back on it, I feel like I was in their lives at a time so that I was able to write this book. Okay, so I think, Rachel, I answered all of the questions. I hope so. And I really just want to tell you guys, thank you so much for reading my book. I hope you'll read all the other stories I have and that you'll continue to share with your friends about them. It's an honor that you're reading. I'm so grateful. Thank you. And thanks for spending time with me. Hope you enjoy your book club tonight. God bless.